Which one's harder? Being lonely and going to your apartment on a Saturday at 6 p.m. and having nobody to hang out with or spend time with, or doing the work of texting that person who sent you a text message, initiating a hangout, spending time, and maintaining the friendship.
You know I'm working.
This always happens when I drive in on the weekend to get my unhealthy food, and I see all of them, all of the Dartmouth students, in their really cute outfits, walking around downtown. I get my pizza, and I go back to my apartment because I don't have any friends.
She sees them walking around, holding hands with friends, but I'm very curious to know if she also happened to see the people who weren't with friends, the people who were on the green by themselves, the people who went to the shops by themselves. I doubt, because she didn't mention it here, when all you're looking for are red cars, it's going to be very difficult for you to see the blue cars.
And it's been 2 years. I haven't made a single friend, and it's my fault. She invited me over to her apartment. We ate. I could have talked to her, but every time she texted me, I would wait like a day to respond. And when we made plans, I would always feel awkward about it because all I wanted to do was be back in my apartment. But then I'm in my apartment, I'm alone.
That right there is very telling. It's kind of that thing of you want something, but you're not willing to work for it. But I will say, it's at least good that she acknowledges that, okay, I know what it is that I want, but just for some reason, like I can't get the gears going. Like for some reason, it's not working.
So it's like, what the fuck is wrong with me that I complain about this and then I make no effort to try to change it?
If she was making zero efforts to change it, she wouldn't be on Bumble BFF. When this person invited you over to her apartment and you guys were, I think she said, baking, you could have said no to that invitation, but you went and you did go, right? Based on those two instances, I would say it's not that you aren't putting in any effort. I think it's that, maybe you're not seeing a payout. It's also possible that she's moving the goalpost of here's what friends are, here's what they do. And if I'm not hitting these sort of points or whatever, therefore that means that I'm not putting forth any effort. When it's like, well, hang on, you're ignoring all this stuff in between. Maybe you didn't get here, right? But we moved here, right? We did a little bit of something else here.
And it's noticeable my landlord, Elaine, keeps commenting on how all of her past tenants do things on the weekends, basically calling me like a friendless loser, which is true, but like, to hear her just say that to me was really hard.
Okay, in lieu of her being very emotional right now, your landlady did not call you a friendless loser. I think you think that you're a friendless loser. And because she said something that hurt, and maybe she could have been minding her business, and it sort of put a spotlight on you feeling like you're a friendless loser. So for any of you guys out there that kind of do this really big jump, like try to see if you can recognize yourself making those really big leaps and those big assumptions. It points out your own insecurities and the things that you've got going on in your own head, but it's not a reflection on the people around you. It has nothing to do with the people around you. That is you.
I just don't know what's wrong with me. I just want it to be easy,
Here's another problem. I want it to be easy, okay? It will never be easy. It will not be easy. It's not supposed to be easy. And anyone who tells you that it should be, that making friends is supposed to be easy and simple and it shouldn't be hard and you shouldn't have to jump through all these hoops, wrong. Dead ass wrong. My best friend of 15 going on 16 years, our friendship requires that we check in with each other every now and again. I don't ignore her text messages. Whenever I came back home to visit, I made sure I added her to a list of people that I wanted to go check up on and see. And she would also take the time to come up to my state and come see me. It's simple. It doesn't take a whole lot to maintain friendship, but it does require, there's a mental load that you have to carry to maintain long-term friendships. And this whole easy shit, pick something. You got to pick a hard. You got to pick one because it's all hard. Which one's harder? Being lonely and going to your apartment on a Saturday at 6 p.m. and having nobody to hang out with or spend time with, or doing the work of texting that person who sent you a text message, initiating a hangout, spending time, and maintaining the friendship, even though it's hard. Any of you who are watching this video, if you're going to sit here and you're going to say it is harder for me to keep up with people, I don't have the mental capacity to maintain friendships, I have shit going on at home, I don't give a shit what it is. Okay, fine. Then you picked your hard. You've picked it. But, let's not stumble into this. Let's make sure that we're being intentional about what we're choosing. Okay? Because it's all choices. No one's forcing anything upon you and no one's doing anything to you. We're making choices.
And Travis and Kyle, they've traveled more. They've done more. They've experienced more. You're supposed to look up to your older sibling. And I genuinely don't know what they have to look up to me for.
We've gone from I feel lonely about not having friends. I'm gonna die alone and adopt cats. My younger siblings are lapping me and I have nothing to show for my life. For anybody else that might be in this hole, stop looking at all the red cars and start looking for some blue cars, right? They're just finding the negative, finding all this stuff that's wrong with you. And I really think sometimes we forget to find the things that are going right.
I feel like stuff has to change, but I don't know. Once I move back to Hampton, how to change it? How do we make friends?
I'm going to tell you guys a story, okay? I was a sophomore in college. I just transferred from one university to another university. And my sophomore year, loneliest time of my life. I also commuted. I lived off campus, so I did have roommates, but we weren't close or anything like that. And I did have an on-campus job. I worked at the library and I had like a graduate level position. And I took it because I was like, ooh, me a sophomore getting a graduate level job, why not? I wish I would have taken the Starbucks job because the Starbucks job would have given me friends instead of me hanging out with a bunch of old librarians. So I had no friends to hang out with, no peers. I would go to home, work, class, and it was just that cycle over and over again. The only thing I really did was I would go to this group exercise class once a week. It was a cycling class. There was one girl that I would see that I would talk to in my gym class. I wanted to be friends because I didn't have any friends and she was cool. And I thought, oh, she might make a really good friend, but I didn't know how to do it. So I'm in the office bitching to my mentor about how I wish that this girl would be my friend, but I don't know how to do it and how I feel awkward and I want us to like hang out outside of the gym class, but I couldn't ask her to do that because that's so embarrassing to ask someone to hang out with you. Like that's like lame loser shit. Like who asks people to hang out with them? And while I'm doing all this talking, my mentor, she's rummaging around in her desk looking for something. And then I finally finish, my rant and she slaps on the table 2 free lunch passes. And she said, these expire in 3 days. You have 3 days to ask that girl to go out to lunch with you. Don't waste my fucking passes. And then she told me to get the fuck out of her office. 3 days pass. I'm in that class. And, I'm walking up the stairs feeling like I'm going to fucking throw up. The girl's there. She's like, oh, hey, I saved you a seat. Here's our favorite bikes in the back. And, we're out here gabbing away. I couldn't tell you what we were talking about. That damn cycle instructor, pouring their heart out trying to get me to exercise. Wasn't paying a damn attention because all I could think was, I cannot waste these passes. I have to ask her. So class ends and we say our goodbyes and she's walking off. And all that fear that was bubbling down in my stomach, in my chest, in my fucking face, I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience. But I finally was able to overcome it and then say, hey, I have these 2 free lunch passes. You want to grab some lunch? And you know what she said? Oh yeah, totally. I'm like starving. She just said yes. She's like, and not just yes, it was an enthusiastic yes. And you know how that lunch went? It was awkward because we've never hung out outside of that gym class before. In the end, it give or took a few, the remaining 2 years of my college, we became good friends. But that took time. The moral of that story, of the reason why I'm telling you guys this, I had to get out of this mindset of the worst case scenario is going to happen. And I had to push past it. I did. Sometimes the relationships that you want to have with other people are on the other side of a conversation you're too afraid to have. They're on the other side of a question you're too afraid to ask. Now You can no longer rely on the external. You have to rely on the internal. And you haven't practiced it yet.
I gotta join all those student organizations at Simmons. I gotta get a job and talk to the people. I gotta be on Bumble BFF. I gotta join groups. I have to try.
I agree with the idea of putting forth more effort and trying. However, what I would caution, and I know this was years ago for her, but for you guys now, what I would caution you doing is jumping straight in, real gung-ho about trying to change your situation. If you are not already somebody who has built up the stamina to sort of run this marathon of what it takes to make friends and go to clubs and be this social person, if you don't have that stamina built up already, you're going to burn yourself out. By the time people start sending you invites to do things, you're so burnt out, you're going to say no to everything because you don't want to, because you just spent a whole week being the most extroverted person you possibly could be. If you are somebody who doesn't have the stamina, you don't quite know how to make friends, this is your first time really trying to take the initiative and do it yourself, put every single one of those eggs in one basket. Let's say you're interested in film. I would tell you, join the film club and make that be your only commitment. So if the film club meets every Tuesday, go to film club every Tuesday. If every other Saturday they do like a meetup, make the time to go do this thing with the film club. You're going to go every single Tuesday for a month. That's 4 Tuesdays. You're going to go every other Saturday. That's 2 Saturdays. You have now attended 6 events with the same club. You've seen the same people for an entire month 6 times. And you're going to talk to people probably by the 3rd time that you go to something club related. You're going to have the usual person you see that you sit next to. You're going to have the club leader, if they're a good club leader, they're going to, recognize you, remember your name, talk to you, this sort of thing. And you've built up a kind of a rhythm. Now, let's imagine the same scenario, but you decide to be gung-ho and join all the clubs. Monday, you do the art club. Tuesday, the film club. Wednesday, Black Student Union. Thursday, some event on campus. Saturday, let's say that you do go to the film club thing. Sunday, let's make that your rest day. So you just went to 6 events in a single week and you are exhausted. And now, instead of you being in one place consistently for an entire month, you've been to 6 places once. And then for week 2, week 3, week 4, you don't go to any more of them because you exhausted yourself.
I either need to start making friends or just accept the fact that I'm gonna be this alone person and just come to terms with being like the cool aunt. I think I'm gonna give it another year of the first option, and then after that, we'll talk about acceptance.
So in a year, she needs to have that person, or she's going to accept the fact that she's meant to be alone, that it's not going to happen for her. And the reason why that is such a dangerous mindset to have is it takes longer than a year to develop that level of a friendship with somebody. Trying to really get in deep with people really quickly is a turnoff. It's suspicious. Again, I keep talking about my own best friend, but it's because we're talking about fucking friends. So yeah, I'm going to keep bringing her up. The level of friendship we have right now did not exist our first year knowing each other. She annoyed the shit out of me. I just wanted to listen to Evanescence on the school bus, looking out the window, being all dramatic. But no, she wanted to keep tapping me on the shoulder, asking her to read her fucking Alpha Omega fan fiction. And I was like, why the hell does she keep bothering me? That first year of us knowing each other, we had to warm up. If I had cut her off the first time it felt strange or awkward, then I wouldn't have this beautiful friendship that I have right now. I say that to say, giving yourself a time limit on how long it's going to take you to make some close friend, don't do that to yourself, because you're going to measure yourself by this arbitrary goalpost that you've put but then you're going to miss all the other things of, oh, hey, this person, I used to only hang out with them in class. Now we get lunch all the time after class. Now they invited me to a party. Ooh, I invited them to a party. We text, just casually about things. They introduced me to their friend group. Oh no, but we don't have really deep conversations about things, and they don't know everything there is to know about me, and I don't know all the things there is to know about them. Ignoring all this other development and growth that you've had. You haven't gotten here yet. And it takes longer than a year to do that. Now, some of you might be out here and you want to say, oh, but that's what I want. I don't like having superficial relationships. I don't want to have to, stoop down to talk about this superficial stuff. Like it just means nothing to me. Okay. If you're not likable enough to get through the bullshit, why would I ever want to have a deeper conversation with you? You can't even talk to me about normal things, about mundane things. How can I possibly talk to you on a deeper level about anything relating to me or what I think or what I believe? You can't even handle the mundane stuff. You freak out and you get all holier than thou about it. Some of you guys might also say, oh, why should I have to adapt to other people? Why can't I just be me? Why do I have to jump through all these hoops and do all these things to make friends and to get to know people and to communicate and to maintain friendships? Why is it so hard? Why does it require all this work? Why do I have to do all this moving around? Why can't other people move for me too? To that I say, is everybody else feeling lonely and like a friendless loser? Or are you the one that feels that? If everybody else out there on the outside is feeling fine with where they're at, but you're the one that's unsatisfied, why the hell would you ask them to move? Why should they move? You're the one that's dissatisfied. You're the one that's not happy with where you are. Therefore, you are the one that needs to make the change and you are the one that needs to move. Also, this excuse of why should I have to adapt to all these people? Why can't everybody else adapt to me? You are one singular person. You are not that special or important. The whole world does not revolve around you. Also, if you don't want to move for anybody else, you don't want to budge for anybody else, you don't want to have to adapt to all these people, then you might have to work a little bit harder to find the people that you connect with. But you also have to keep in mind, your pool is smaller. But if you're not willing to wait, if it's getting so unbearable that you can't wait for this right person, that's going to adapt to everything, that's just going to be what you want them to be, that requires no adapting to, then you might have to just put up with being a little bit more lonely. That was an excellent video to watch. That was so rich and full of just so many complexities all in one video. And maybe sometimes it sounded like I was getting a little bit heated, or maybe I was scolding. Maybe some of you even think that I don't understand and that, I'm speaking from a place of privilege or some shit like that. Who knows? But what I will say is I stopped waiting for it to happen and I decided to make it happen. The college can't go to the club for you. The company can't go to the fucking mixer for you. You gotta do it. You have to go to the club. You have to start the conversation. You have to introduce yourself to people, because you can't always rely on somebody else coming along and saying, "Have you met Ted?" I would encourage you guys to do one thing this week. Do something that scares you a little bit. I'm not asking you to talk to people and to wait around and see if someone, no. Just if it scares you a little bit to be in your own company, okay, go do something in your own company. 30 minutes. Because we're building up some stamina. We're building up some resilience here. Like if something's happening on campus, for example, right? Maybe if there's someone that you've kind of been wanting to be friends with, maybe it's your roommate and you guys are like fresh and you haven't really hung out just yet, but you're going to be living together. Be like, hey, I'm going to be going to the Mean Green Fling. You want to come with? Let's walk around the tables and just see what's what. They may say yes, they may say no. They may already have people they're going with. They might invite you like, oh, hey, actually, I was going to go to that. I was going to go with these other people from the dorm. Do you want to come with? You don't know what's going to happen until you ask that question, until you have that conversation. So, homework for you guys. I want all of you guys to do one thing that scares you just a little bit. Come back to the comment section. Tell me what you did. I want to hear about it. I want to hear about how it felt. Was it scary? Did it end up going well? Did it end up going horrible? Did you get pig's blood dumped on the top of your head? I'm very curious to know. But what I will say, no matter how it turns out, good, bad, neutral, at the end of the day, all you're doing is building up some stamina so you can start taking control of your life instead of letting life happen to you.